Hey gang, I am Joe Edelman and welcome to The Last Frame Live. Tonight, the state of social media, you know, that thing that photographers love to complain about so much. Well, where does it line up for photography right now, especially as we head into 2023? And I've got a little bit of news for you, and of course, we'll do the Q&A like we always do. So start typing. I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. And by the way, for those of you that get a little bit frustrated with social media, this conversation is not going to be just about making money. It's going to be about sharing your pictures, all of it, okay? By the way, if you're watching the replay, there will be a chapter listing in the description below the video. By all means, you can skip ahead to the stuff that you want. And of course, if you are watching the replay, do me a favor, leave a comment below the video. Let me know that you were here and that you watched. For those of you that are here live, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor, please drop your name and where you're watching from in the chat. Oh God, already we got a big audience tonight. Grant's here from Los Angeles, Danny in Vegas. I got Lynn here from New York, John in Indiana. Let's see, Ben's here from Texas, Robin in South Carolina. I've got David in San Diego, Cooley in Indiana. We got Ron here from Thursday in Australia. Peter's here from England. Who else do we see here? I got John from Nashville. John, I'm going to be in Nashville in January, Imaging USA. Hope you're going to be there. Joe from Michigan, Philip in Australia, Rodney in Ontario, Calvin's up in Maine, Sol is here from Sweden, Keith in Virginia. We have people from all over the place. How cool. I've even got, let's see, Chibuzo's here again from Nigeria, Mateus from Argentina. You guys are awesome. All of you are part of a growing global community of photographers in over 100 countries who tune in to watch The Last Frame Live every week. And do me a favor, if you would, just a quick solid, hit that thumbs up below the video. Seriously, the more thumbs up, the more that YouTube will recommend the show to other photographers. And of course, while you're down there, feel free to hit that share button. Let your photography friends know that we are streaming live on YouTube right now. Facebook, Twitter, they're the fastest ways to get the word out. You can also use the link that I just dropped in the chat, lastframe.live. Okay, so real quick, news. I think, honestly, my big, exciting announcement, which is it's kind of a selfish thing, but hopefully some of you are going to get to take advantage of this. I got the notice just yesterday that I am going to be presenting this year at WPPI. If you were here last week, somebody asked about it, and I told you, like, I wasn't even sure what was going on with it. I was getting a little bit worried. I kind of guessed that they were going to wait until after the pre-sale before they made any final announcements, and indeed, they waited till after the pre-sale. Joe got that one right. And the cool part is, I have been invited. So I am definitely doing a photo walk, and it's one that a lot of you have been asking me to do for a long time. It's called Posing Without Posing. So since I'm the guy that's always railing against don't pose because it makes people look stiff, this is going to be your chance to come out in Vegas with me on location, photographing a model, and I will demonstrate the techniques that I use to get the really cool poses without posing. And fingers crossed. So I need you all to send me some good vibes. There is one other class that I am potentially going to be doing at WPPI. I had submitted this class. Apparently, the hotel is a little bit tight on room space this year for presentations. So they've had to cut back a little bit. That's what we're being told. So they've kind of put me on hold for a second platform talk, which really keeping fingers crossed. I'm not going to tell you the title of it. I don't want to jinx it. It's a talk that I've never done before. It is a topic that is really near and dear to my heart. And it's something that I really believe, it's kind of a mantra. It's a philosophy that I really believe photographers need to start making a big part of their everyday thought process as photographers. So hopefully that's going to come together and I will get to do that one in Vegas. And of course, I've already been sharing with you guys that I am going to be presenting at ImagingUSA. That's January 21st. That's the Saturday. I'm going to be doing 2 hands-on workshops when portraiture and fashion collide. Cool part about those is those are shooting workshops. You take pictures. I'll be doing a little bit of instruction, but they're going to be very hands-on. And then on the Sunday morning, January 22nd, 8 a.m. Yeah. I'll be doing creative color is easy, powerful, emotional, and best of all, it sells. That is a platform talk also, big audience, big room. I always enjoy doing those. It's 90 minutes long. It's a demo, a lot of information. I've also got a really cool handout for all the people that attend that. And I'll be doing a little demo shoot at the end of that talk. So then, of course, WPPI will be coming up the beginning of March. March 6th is the day for my Photowalk. WPPI goes from March 5th through the 9th. In fact, I'm going to share a link with all of you in the chat. If you haven't signed up, this will get you, if you scroll down, you'll notice, use my name when you check out, Edelman, right? You get a $40 discount on the conference pass, or you can get your free show floor pass. And they're going all out to get people to come to WPPI this year. So you notice you can bring your WPPI BFF, you buy a conference pass, get one free, and $50 off a third pass. So if you get 2 friends to go with you, you can really save yourself some bank on WPPI this year. So you've got all that information, that link that I just shared. It's also in the description below the video. That will give you all the details on that. Okay? All right. So, oh, and by the way, make sure you keep an eye on the presentation page on my website. In fact, let me just grab that. Over the next couple of days, I will be adding my 2023 schedule of presentations, the ones that I do virtually. Got some new ones this year, and even some of the older subjects that I've done, they're all overhauled. They all have kind of, shall we say, downloadable cheat sheets that come along with it. Plus, you will be able to watch the session recorded for 72 hours after the session. It's not a download and keep it video, but if something comes up at the last minute, or if you want to be able to review it and go through stuff, because if you've ever seen one of my presentations, you know I cover a lot of material in any presentation that I do. Most of these ones coming up for 2023, I've also expanded them. So instead of them being 60 and 90 minutes, most of them are 2-hour presentations. They are solid, lots of info, okay? All right, so, Crystal showed up late tonight. How you doing, Crystal? By the way, Crystal, Sunday, if you can make your shoot start at 4 o'clock or later, I'll be there and I'll help you out. So we'll talk. The state of social media for photographers as we near 2023. So look, unless you've been living under a rock, okay? You know, social media has been in the news nonstop this past year, right? I mean, we started the year with all the usual hubbub and people complaining about social media in general. And then, of course, we have all the issues that Facebook's been going through. And, you know, Facebook has kind of turned into the evil empire in general, and Facebook's been losing money and they've been laying off people. And then there's Instagram and their crazy roller coaster ride of, you know, everybody needs to do reels and that's what we're going to promote. And then basically just crushing their algorithm, turning it upside down, and then having to walk it back because there was like this all out revolt. And then there was, well, should we jump onto Vero, right? Or more recently, maybe it's like, well, Hive Social. So there's all these other social platforms that are sharing, you know, showing up. Okay. And then, of course, we can't forget Mr. Elon Musk and the, I don't know, is it going to be the demise or is it going to be the success of Twitter? Who knows? And honestly, who cares? That's my advice to you guys in a nutshell. Now, there's more that I'm going to share with you. But here's the thing. None of it matters. None of it matters. If you are watching this or you are listening to me live right now or the replay, I promise you 99.9% statistical odds you don't need to worry about any of this crap, which means that for the last year, even, for the last 2 years, you really didn't need to worry about any of this crap. Now, I am not saying ignore social media. No. I'm just saying relax, chill, take a virtual Xanax, deep breath, right? There's no reason to get all stressed out about this stuff. There just really isn't. If you are one of those photographers that's all stressed out about this stuff, and if you are either just trying to build a social following to, I don't know, who cares, make yourself feel good, or for that matter, maybe to find like-minded individuals just to chat with and share with and talk with, or if you're trying to find new customers to shoot portraits or weddings, or heck, maybe even sell your landscape pictures. If any of those things, if you're stressed about social media, and if you're stressed about all the stuff that's been going on, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're doing it wrong. You just are. I will tell you honestly, from my perspective, and my needs and my goals for social media are a little different than most of yours, but I'm going to lead by example here. I can tell you honestly, in the last year and a half, I've done less social media than I have in probably the last easily 10 to 12 years. And it's nice. It's really nice. So let's break it down, right? Let's talk about some things for photographers who are just sharing for fun, right? Just sharing for fun. Maybe they've been able to build up a little bit of a social following. That's always good for the ego. And look, I'm not knocking that at all. Hey, that becomes fuel, right? It does. So own it. Like seriously, own it. Okay. Or maybe you're just sharing to be able to find people that you can talk with about your photography and the kind of photography you do. I mean, that's one of the coolest things about my Tog Knowledge community. We've got photographers in there right now from 37 different countries. And so, tomorrow night I'll do a video meetup, and we'll have photographers there from at least 4 or 5 countries live in real time. And it's awesome to be able to talk with and share with people from around the world. So if you're in that category, my advice to you, honestly, don't chase the algorithms unless you strictly want the numbers, just for the sake of having the numbers. Okay, then you are indeed going to have to chase the algorithms. But even for you folks, I'm going to give you a couple pieces of advice to make that chase a whole lot easier. Okay, but basically my advice to those of you that fit into those categories is stay the course. Meaning, if you've been posting consistently on Instagram, keep posting consistently on Instagram. If you have been posting consistently on Facebook, stay on Facebook. If you're one of those photographers who early in the year made the jump to Vero, and you've been posting on Vero and you've been getting good traction, you've been meeting people and finding followers, then keep posting on Vero. Vero is not going to help any of you that want to make money, right? It's just not. So let's be clear. I'm not in the business side. I'm in the category of photographers that are just honestly looking to make friends or to see their numbers grow for the sake of doing it, right? So there's no business model involved. So yeah, if you were getting traction on Vero and it's working for you and you're enjoying it and you find it easier than Instagram, go for it. Knock yourself out, right? There's really no reason to change. When we listen to all this news with, Facebook's laying off this many thousands of people and, Facebook's got this problem and that problem. Look, if these companies didn't have all the problems that they have right now, something would be up, like in a bad way. You can't find a company historically that has grown to the size of companies like Facebook, companies like Apple, companies like Twitter. Go back in the days, IBM, Microsoft, all these companies. And I don't mean just in the tech world. I mean in the world, in the industrialized world, you're not going to find companies that have grown that large without major missteps, without having to go through serious overhauls of the way that they're structured, without having to go through government hearings and oversight and potentially lawsuits over monopoly and unfair business practices. None of this is new, right? We get a little too emotionally attached to some of these social media companies because, especially those of us that have been using them to make money, you know, one of the great things about them is you actually don't have to spend money to make money off of social media. So when all this stuff kind of starts happening, it's stressful because I still haven't met the photographer that bought a camera so that they could be on social media. I haven't found that person yet, right? We get hooked on photography first, and then social media, that's the modern way that we share our pictures. It's a lot better than having to carry around photo albums like we did in a day, or, you know, pulling out the big fat wallet and then opening up the accordion of pictures, right? So that's all. But all of these ups and downs and debacles that are going on, it's honestly kind of normal in the business world. So stay the course. There's no reason to change. I mean, obviously, if Twitter disappears, well, then we won't be posting on Twitter, will we? I don't think Twitter will disappear. I'm not so sure that, you know, Elon Musk knows what he's doing, but who am I to say, right? He may have a master plan and he just may be focused enough that he doesn't really care what happens in its wake, but he's going to get to that end game. And if he does, good for him, right? Whatever. Not my problem. So stay the course. Whatever's been working for you has been working for you. Don't feel that you need to jump every time something new comes up. Every time somebody opens up a new social media platform. I hate to tell all of you, there will be new social media platforms. Historically, evolutionary-wise, we should expect that there will be new social media platforms. Could there ever be social media platforms that get to be as big as Facebook and Instagram and Twitter? Yeah, absolutely. So don't sweat it. Ride it out. See where it goes, right? And if your favorite platform disappears, well, then indeed, you're going to go look for another platform to kind of have a place to be able to host your pictures that you want to share and to be able to talk with people and communicate with people. But no matter what, these social media platforms are going to continue to evolve. They're not going to stay the way they are now. So that could be a piece of stress for any of you, but think about it. Even McDonald's is not the same today as it was in the 1960s when I was a kid. It's just not the same, right? It evolves. So the world evolves. You're just going to have to accept that. Part of the reason it evolves is because the younger generation doesn't like the same social media platforms as older generations. And I'll say what I always say. They're probably the smart ones. But it is what it is. Now, let's flip the script for a second. This side of the conversation. Those of you that are looking to make money. If your goal or your task on social media is to use it as a marketing arm of your business. And when I say business, I'm going to make some assumptions that we're talking portrait photographers, wedding photographers, event photographers, and kind of the subcategories of those. And even potentially a landscape photographer that wants to sell their art or sell prints, or for that matter, any photographer that wants to sell their art online. Okay? How does the current state of social media impact you? Guess what? It doesn't. Yeah, it's exactly the same for the people that are doing it for fun. If you're all stressed about it, you've been doing it wrong. You just simply been doing it wrong. So now I said that twice. So let me back up because I don't want to frustrate you. My goal is not to frustrate you. My goal is to really kind of try and get you to take a deep breath and maybe refocus some of your energies when it comes to social media. Because I'm not going to lie to you, that's what I've done in the last 2 years. And man, has it been great. So it's just, honestly, it's the smartest thing I've done in forever. And I didn't walk away from social media. I actually like social media, but I also don't want to be a slave to it. So, but what do I mean by this, stay the course, you know how to change. Well, let's go up the ladder to about 50,000 feet. And let me just mention a couple of things that I talk about frequently. You may have heard me mention these before, but I think all of us, myself included, we need a reminder from time to time, right? And that's because we're human. And that's because when we're doing social media, we're staring at a computer screen or we're staring at a phone screen, and it is really easy to kind of lose track of who we're talking to or how it's going to be received. Okay. So the first thing is, number one, photographers tend to approach social media from completely the wrong perspective. So this is one of the rare situations where being old has benefits. And not because I don't like it, because I love it. You guys know how much tech I got here. Like, you know, I got all this, whoops, wrong button. Let's go back to that one. I got all this crazy tech. I love this tech. I love social media. Absolutely. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that I'm old. I ran a business, several businesses, or I should say several variations of my business for quite a few years before there ever was such a thing as social media, before there ever was such a thing as the internet, you know, back in the dark ages, right? And so as social media has evolved, just like everybody else does, I have gotten caught up in the wave. I have chased my tail, following, you know, some experts' ideas about this or that. I have battled to beat the algorithms for search and social and all those things. But here's what I keep learning over and over and over and over again. Social media is not an invention of the internet. Social media is not an invention of technology. Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, founded Twitter, all of these guys, they really did not invent social media. I want you to change your thinking a little bit. Here's the definition that I want you to understand. Social media, as a photographer, social media, and honestly for anybody, I don't know why I threw the photographer part in there. It doesn't apply. It applies to everybody. Social media is simply, when it's done right, it is simply the act of being social using technology and the internet. Put a pin right there. The act of being social using technology and the internet. Okay? Back in the 1970s, in the 1980s, when I left the newspaper business and started my first business, and through the 90s, photographers didn't have the internet. So how did they market themselves? So remember, we're talking portrait photographers, wedding photographers, event photographers. We're talking about landscape photographers that want to sell their art. How did they market themselves? Primarily, they had 3, maybe 4 options, none of which were ideal. None of which. The most cost-effective option was word of mouth. Now, the problem with word of mouth back then is that word of mouth, it's basically a referral where somebody mentions, oh, hey, listen, you're getting married. You need to get this guy to do your wedding. He does great work, yada, yada, yada. That little referral could take a year to come full circle. It could take 2 years to come full circle. So in order to build up a steady stream of word of mouth advertising back then, it could take you quite a few years. And during that time, you needed to be finding new clients. You needed to be providing excellent value and service and images so that those people would remember you and want to talk about you. And the longer you were at it and the more you pushed and the more you built clientele, the more people there were walking around that had a great experience with you, that found value in what you do. So the luxury we all have, I don't care which category you're in, kind of for fun or for business, the luxury we all have today is word of mouth can happen in seconds. In fact, it can happen from around the world in seconds. How amazing is that? Think about that. And you do not have to spend money for that. You can, that's a different conversation, but you don't have to. And you can have that kind of word of mouth. But photographers categorically are horrible at taking advantage of word of mouth. So yes, I've just insulted most of you. Let me explain why I say that. The reason why photographers tend to be horrible, let me give you some examples. I see these all the time. I could pick up Facebook right now and I'd go scrolling. I'm not going to out anybody on Facebook that doesn't know that I'm about to do it, so I'm not going to go through my timeline. But I guarantee you, and you've all seen what I'm about to describe. I could go through my Facebook timeline in any given day and I'm going to see a photographer who's got a business page. It's their business. And they've got picture after picture after picture posted. No words, just pictures. Okay. And then when I look at those pictures, if I click on the post and expand it, there's comments on a lot of the pictures. Those comments don't have a thumbs up or a heart. Worse yet, those comments don't have a response. Nothing. A lot of those same photographers will go to their timeline, and every so often, in fact, it's Wednesday, so like tomorrow, usually like tomorrow, you'll see a post pop up, 2 openings on Saturday. Book me now, hit me up in the DMs. Like people are just sitting around saying, you know, eventually he's going to say he's got an opening and he's going to post it on Facebook. I got to jump, I got to do it. Why? Do you think people just sit around like that? Do you sit around waiting for a plumber? Like, okay, like, when's the plumber going to have an opening? Oh, look, he posted on Facebook. He's got an opening. Let me book the plumber and fix the sink. Do you do that? Of course you don't. Right? So at a minimum, you thumbs up or you like. Ideally, you respond to a comment. Look, if you were at a social event, if you went to a wedding as a guest, and during the wedding, somebody came up to you and said, hey, I love that dress you're wearing. Unless you're like a hardcore biatch, you're not just going to turn around and walk away. You're going to respond. You can say, hey, thank you. I really appreciate it. You look wonderful too. You're going to be social because that's what people do. So where I'm trying to head with this, gang, is if you're worried about all these changes and all these machinations that are happening and what company's going to last and do I even bother posting on that platform because if they're going to go out of business in 6 weeks, I don't want to be wasting my time. You're only wasting your time if your posts are crap. You're only wasting your time if you're not actually being social on social media. Because look, to just put a bunch of pictures up there, you've got to ask yourself a simple question. Why should anybody care? I'm honestly, that's it, right? Remember that when you post a picture, no other human being had the same experience with that image as you did. Even if they were in the room when you took the picture, they still didn't have the same experience. So why should they care? I mean, if you're that good, that your photographs rise to like the level of like a Banksy, you know, the artist that when he paints the side of a building, it makes news headlines around the world. If your pictures rise to that level, why the hell are you listening to me in the first place, right? You're not at that level. I'm not at that level. I actually don't personally know anybody at that level. And that's the point. The successful photographers that I know, when it comes to their marketing, they are social beings. Period. So that means when you post an image, so for those of you that want to do portraits and weddings and things like that, when you post an image, don't slap the picture up there. Tell a little story. People love stories. Stories are proven to sell. This is like good old-fashioned traditional marketing, and it still works. It is still a crucial part of internet marketing. Telling stories. Stories show that you care. Stories show that you're not a jerk. Stories show that you're passionate about what you do. Please don't ever call yourself passionate. Cheap word, okay? Show that you're passionate, but don't call yourself passionate. It's a cheap word, right? But tell stories. When you go shoot a wedding, don't go to Facebook the next day or on the Monday and post 60 pictures all at once. Come on, really? Aside from the people that were at the wedding, do you really think people want to see 60 freaking pictures from somebody else's wedding? And besides, if your thought process is, well, I want to be able to have a sample online of a whole wedding that I shot, it should be on your own website, damn it, not on social media. So drip those pictures out. Take those 60 pictures, cut them down to 20 max, and be real with yourself. I mean, really real. If they're not 20 amazing pictures, then cut it down to 10. You can look like a rock star with 5 pictures, and you can look like a total hack with 10. If 1 or 2 of those 10 are not incredible. Humans are wired to notice and remember the lowest common denominator. And that's the impression that people will walk away with. So the key to the social media thing, gang, is be social. Build relationships. Running a business as a photographer is a relationship business. And if you don't like that, you're potentially trying to open up a business in the wrong industry because it's a people business. Lots of very, very talented photographers are introverts. They're quiet. They don't like marketing. They don't like talking to people, all that. Well, then you should not be doing it as a business, or you better be so damn amazing, which means pick up your camera and practice, learn the foundational skills, and teach yourself to do amazing photography. But unless you're going to do that so that you make so much money and create so much demand because your images are so amazing that you can hire an agent or a representative, unless you're going to do that, then you're barking up the wrong tree to think that you're going to run any kind of a successful business that is not going to be a painful process for you. Why not keep it a hobby and have some fun? Like, legit. So, because remember, once you decide to open a business, all the rules change, right? You're not shooting for you anymore. You're shooting for your clients. So, honestly, the state of social media in 2023 for photographers, and the reason why I wanted to jump the gun with this tonight, I'll tell you honestly, I have no doubt that over the next couple of weeks on all the photography blogs, we're going to see article after article, video after video. All these influencers are going to be out there, you know, this, that, and everything else. And the bottom line is, who cares? How are any of those articles helping you? They're not. They're simply not. Oftentimes, the best way to figure out what to do next when you're talking uncharted waters, and when I say uncharted waters, I don't mean necessarily uncharted for you. I mean, all the social media stuff is new. I mean, we think of it like, oh, well, it's social media, boom. But hey, look, I only joined Facebook, which was the first one I ever joined, like in 2009. Facebook started like in the early 2000s. So we're talking like less than 20 years here, right? That it's been mainstream, which means all the social media stuff is still in its infancy. I can't predict, you can't predict, nobody can predict exactly where it's going to go or how it's going to turn out. What it's going to be like 20 years from now. Nobody knows. But here's what we do know. We know historically how emerging technologies tend to develop. We know how they go through changes. We know how the general public perceives them and sometimes, you know, turns against them, and they have to change and they have to tweak and they have to kind of rebuild and retool themselves before they're accepted and become a norm and become a standard. And even then we know that they might last for 70 years and then just die out, kind of like department stores did. So oftentimes the best answer is not to be jumping at the newest thing that's just showed up, but to be looking backwards to understand how these things tend to play out. And ask yourself a simple question when you see a new platform. Who's going to use that platform? Most new platforms are going to be adopted by young people, aside from the people that are looking for Twitter alternatives. But look, let's face it, the people that want a Twitter alternative are the people that want to be able to go and have an opinion, and they actually think people give a crap about their opinion, and they just want to be able to type opinions and bitch about things. That's Twitter, right? So Twitter's of no consequence to photographers whatsoever. Not portraits, weddings, events, landscape photographers, not at all. Right? So you've got to look at that platform. You got to say, well, likely who's going to be there? Because let's just say it's going to be the next biggest platform amongst 20-somethings. Well, okay, that's interesting, but 20-somethings have no money. Go look at marketing statistics. Most advertising that you see on television, most advertising you see on print and magazines, et cetera, it's not geared towards 20-year-olds. It's definitely not geared toward teenagers. It's geared towards people that are late 20s and older, because by the time they hit their late 20s, people start to own a house, they have responsibilities, and they're starting to save, which means they're starting to accrue disposable income. They're your customers if you're trying to start a business, not teenagers. Heck, even when you look at an Old Navy commercial, Old Navy sells clothes for teenagers and young 20-somethings. Almost every Old Navy commercial includes a parent. Even when they had the Old Navy mannequins, remember those commercials? They were always families. They weren't just the kids. And Old Navy made sure to sell some clothes for mom and dad. Why did they do this? Because they needed mom and dad to know it was cool to shop there. They needed mom and dad to know that, oh, they can get some stuff there. But here's the real joke. For all the kids that loved Old Navy, when Old Navy was the bomb, I realize it's fizzled out with the younger kids today a lot. But when it was the bomb, ask any of those kids that would walk into Old Navy. It's like, hey, you want to go shop at the Gap? And they'd be like, the Gap? Are you kidding me? No way. My mom and dad shopped there when they were kids. I'm not going to shop there. Well, the beauty of it is Old Navy is the Gap, because that's what these stores do. They just rebrand, right? So again, know your audience for whatever you're trying to do. If you're trying to find friends, what kind of friends? What kind of age bracket? Where are they? Etc. Know your audience. Do a little bit of research as to where you can find those people, and that's the platform that you want to be on. You know, photographers, there was article after article after article about Vero when Instagram was putzing around and didn't seem to know what the heck they were going to do. And all these photographers are like, all right, Instagram, I'm out. I'm going to Vero. And you know what? That's fine if you're just sharing pictures for the sake of sharing pictures. But if you're trying to build a business, do you think that brides are on Vero looking at pictures? Sorry, they're not. Do you think that girls who want to be models are on Vero looking at pictures? I'm talking professional models in an agency. No, they're not. Okay. Do you think businesses are on Vero looking for photographers? Not many, if any. So is that the place to be? It's fine to have a profile, and it's fine if you want to share your pictures with people, but not if you're trying to build a business. And that does bring me to one other point. One of the things that I have done routinely, but I'm running a business. So this is not going to be the same for all of you. But anytime a new social media platform does show up, I sign up. Am I going to start posting? Oh, God, no. But, you know, like I have a profile at Vero. I think I've uploaded 2 or 3 pictures. I have a TikTok profile. I think I have 4 little video clips on there. I have a profile at Hive Social. I think I have nothing on that one. Why do I do that? To get my name, so that I lock up my name. In part because 1, there's other Joe Edelmans. 2, there is a very famous billionaire financial guru named Joseph Edelman, who online I often get confused with. Unfortunately, I'm not related. Really disappointing. But fun story. Former President Barack Obama follows me on Twitter. He has no idea who I am. I am sure that the mistake was he saw Joe Edelman, clicked that thinking it was the billionaire investor. So there are other Joe Edelmans, and there are actually other Joe Edelman photographers in the United States. So I make it a point whenever something new comes up, I grab them. Just the same with domain names for websites, which I don't want to steer this conversation to websites tonight, but I have literally like 42 versions of Joe Edelman whatever, so that other photographers don't use them. Yeah, so that's business, right? That's locking up your brand, making sure that you protect your brand. So sure, should you sign up for these platforms? Absolutely. Does that mean you have to use them? Does that mean you have to participate? No, not at all. But you should get your username. That way it stays uniquely yours. And I would, strongly encourage you to do that. Okay. All right. So I got a whole bunch of questions back here. So I want to scroll back and I want to make sure that I get some of these. So James from Alaska added in here, as a hobbyist photographer, actually, let me do it on this screen. My apologies. As a hobbyist photographer, I've thought about photography as a side hustle, but I don't know how to use social media in a productive way to accomplish this. So, James, keep an eye out on that education link that I mentioned on my website. I have a course on social media for photographers coming up, but all the things that I told you tonight, hopefully will give you kind of the 50,000 foot view of kind of the attitude that you want to approach. You don't have to be a marketing expert to use social media. You have to be social. You need to share stories about your photography, right? That is what's going to inform people about you and what you're like. That is what's going to make you interesting. And if you put a little bit of effort into those stories, believe me, people will think more of your photography because of good stories. Okay. So let's see here. Actually, I mean, this is off the topic, but I want to mention that it's there. Frosty the Beer Man asked if I could maybe do, like in the next couple of weeks, some tips for shooting family in front of Christmas trees, etc. I shared a link with him. It's in the chat. I will, let me see if I can grab it again, but you can scroll up and find it. Right when the pandemic started, I did a live stream for Olympus about shooting Christmas images. And so I will see if I can put something together for you guys between now and Christmas, and early enough that it will benefit you. But if you watch that live stream, actually, there's a lot of really, really good ideas in there, a lot of really good tips. So if you're looking to do Christmas pictures this year, you want to make them a little bit different, a little bit more interesting, check that out. You'll definitely find some useful stuff. Cooley, how about a class at my studio? Probably not for quite a while, Cooley. You know that I have a small studio in my basement. I tell you right now, for me to do that and make it worth my while, the pricing would be extremely expensive. You'd be looking at about $1,000 to come in for a day, and it would probably be like 5 people that would be here, maybe as many as 8. And that gets to be a really tight space. So could it happen? It might, but is it on my radar? No. Virtual teaching is awesome. And the problem of it is I can actually teach you more virtually than I can in person. I really can. I know you don't think so. I know a lot of people like to see it happen. They like to see the photographer do it, but you're kidding yourselves. I'm speaking from science, from purely a science educational standpoint. It's not doing you any good to watch me do it. You need to take the information I give you and you need to go do it. Okay. Let's see here. Cooley also asked, what lens would I get for shooting nature? Cooley, come on, man. You've been following me long enough. That's like a really lazy question, right? It is. So what kind of nature? Where are you going? What's your particular style? Do you like really wide, expansive landscapes? Do you like kind of 50 millimeter type views? So when you ask a question like that, you get back stupid opinions. Not to mention you're asking a portrait photographer. Like, okay. So come on, man. Like, do a little bit of research. And honestly, because I know you've been shooting long enough, think a little bit. What lens should you get for nature? Well, what do you want to shoot? All good photography, gang. And look, I'm busting Cooley because look, he's been following me for a long time. I know what he can do. I've seen his pictures. Look, all good photography is problem solving, right? So you have a problem. That's where the question came from. You want to shoot nature. You're not sure what lens, but you've got to take it a step further in your mind. Well, when we say nature, nature could be anything from, an insect that fits on the tip of my finger to a budding flower, to a tree, to a mountain range. Nature could be astrophotography. It could be animals. It could be wildlife. It could be any number of things. every one of those things that I just mentioned is photographed a little differently. And Cooley, I know you shoot people, I know you shoot models, which means you probably have like a 24 to 70 millimeter zoom. What's wrong with that lens? Do you really need a different lens? But it's going to depend on what do you want to shoot, right? So if there's something really, really specific that you can drill that down to, and you really, really have no idea, then ask me and I'll try and help you solve the problem. But an open-ended question like that, that's just an opinion question, and I can't answer opinion questions. It's not going to help you, right? It's just not going to help you. Okay. Let's see, where are we at here? Danny, I saw your notes about Vegas. I'll look forward to seeing you in at WPPI. Very cool. Let's see, scrolling down, there was a whole bunch. All right. So Art Within, he had a question and he did come back and answer. So I want to address this. His first question or statement was, I wish to know who set the standards for ISO. I was like, what, are you going to go knock on their door? That's what that sounds like. ISO, shutter, and aperture, because back in the day, film shutter speeds didn't have to be so slow to get ambient light. I'm not sure that I would agree with that statement, but I asked him to give me a little bit more detail, and he came back with, let me find it, and here's the follow-up. I wanted to know if ISO, shutter, etc., has a standard all the companies make cameras by, or is it different based on sensors and the company that makes them? I've noticed shutter speed has changed. Art Within, that is just kind of your perception. I'm sorry, but it hasn't changed. Yes, they do work to basic standards, but that doesn't mean that if you line up 3 cameras or 3 brands in a row, the exposures are going to look exactly the same. That's because with digital cameras, keep in mind, we have all kinds of other variables, right? Variables like the EVFs, variables like the LCDs. Just in one camera, an image can look completely different from the EVF to the LCD, right? So are shutter speeds different than they were back in the film days? No. ISO is a hell of a lot different. That's a whole nother conversation. Stay tuned, because man, I got a big thing coming on that. But no, it's no different. That is your perception. So not to cut that short, you're obviously having a problem that you're struggling with. I would encourage you to join my TOG knowledge community, because I need a lot more information. You've kind of honed in on that being the problem. I promise you that's not your problem. But we obviously need to ask a lot more questions. We need to get a lot more information and troubleshoot it. And that includes like even seeing some pictures that you're shooting and seeing what's happening. I'm assuming based on what you're saying, you're doing some stuff with potentially with flash, but you want to include ambient light, and you're not able to get the ambient light to match with a flash, all those kinds of things. Whichever, I need to see it. I want to see what you've done. Because when I can see the result, and you can ask any of the people in my TOG knowledge community, my mentoring program, you show me a picture, I'll tell you things about your picture that you don't remember, and then I'll prove it to you. I've been doing this a long time. I can dissect an image and I can tell you an incredible amount. Like I will look at lighting for portraits without seeing where the lights are, and I'll be able to tell you what kind of modifier was used. I'll be able to tell you the distance. I'll be able to tell you the height. I do it routinely in my mentoring group and in my TOG knowledge community. So it's not a circus trick. It's simply called experience, right? So I just need to see some stuff, and then I will gladly try to help you out. But I need a little bit more than that. But I promise you, shutter speed in digital compared to shutter speed in film is not the cause of the problem that you are touching on. I'm confident of that. Okay. Let's see here. Cooley said, as far as social media goes, I cover a lot of local events and I post them on Facebook and usually have mixed results. Well, see, Cooley, that kind of actually illustrates what I was saying before. So you have mixed results and you post them on Facebook. Well, why are you posting your pictures on Facebook? And so number one, what are they pictures of? You said local events, but what kind of events? When you post them on Facebook, what is your goal with posting them on Facebook? Are you just hoping that somebody's going to show up and say, hey, I saw that picture, I'd love to hire you? Or are you actually actively marketing? So tell me who these events are for. Like, who are the clients for these events? What kind of events? Give me more information. Because honestly, it sounds like, yes, you're taking pictures, slapping them up on Facebook, but you're actually not doing any of the marketing that goes with it. Facebook is not marketing. Facebook is a platform where you can be social. Being social is marketing. And this is the problem with so much of this crap that's on the internet, right? Everybody wants to sell a quick way to get it done, right? It's like spend this money for ads, do it at this time of the day. Make sure you do it only on this day of the week. Make sure you have this hashtag. Look, all of that stuff is valid in the sense that it gives you a little bump, a little bump, a little bump, a little bump. But it also takes you a ton more time and a ton more effort. And it's little bumps, little bumps, little bumps. It's not ultimately going to do the job because at the end of the day, you better have amazing photography. You better provide great value. And you better be social. You better be an interesting human being, right? And by the way, look, for marketing, you're listening to me. Most of you listen to me more than once. You know that I make an art form out of pissing people off. So when I talk about being social, part of that being social is you don't always have to be the most polite person in the room. You don't always have to be the nicest person in the room. Everybody knows Joe has no filters. He tells it the way he sees it, right? But how am I making my money? I'm making my money by teaching people that want to get ahead. I'm not making money anymore doing portraits and weddings. If I was doing portraits and weddings, I'd be the nicest guy on social media. I'd be kissing everybody's ass. Absolutely. Because that's what it takes. But that's not my audience. So I can be me. Because you deal with me, you get what you get. That's it. So I'm not recommending that unless that fits your audience. But the fact of the matter is, your marketing is being social, not sticking stuff on Facebook. Facebook is not marketing. Facebook is a platform. That's it. Facebook is the modern day Yellow Pages. Legit. Facebook, Google, that's the Yellow Pages back in the day. And the best part of it is, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than the Yellow Pages were. Yellow Pages were expensive, really expensive. Okay, so give me more information, Cooley. I'm gonna try to help you out. So let's see here. Scrolling on down. Alan, it's okay that you're 40 minutes late. I'll let you slide. Thank you for showing up, okay? Sean, Obama follows 500,000+ people. Probably some kind of automation at some point. Might been, yep. So let's see. And Crystal, you got the new lens. All right, good for you. Cooley, you want to shoot birds and stuff. So give me an answer, Cooley. What kind? Seriously, no games, man. And I'm not trying to give you a hard time. So I don't know what the stuff is because I don't have a lens that I usually say stuff this lens, right? Just saying. But if we're talking birds like wildlife, okay. So what kind of lens do you think is ideal? And plus, it would be helpful to know since you asked, hey, what lens is best for nature? Well, what camera do you have, man? Right? I'm just saying. So when you ask broad questions, all you get are opinions with no context. I could go ahead, you tell me which brand, I could go ahead and name you a lens that probably costs about $14,000. I have a hunch you don't want to spend $14,000. So what good is it going to do you if I name a $14,000 lens? It's not, right? Information, man. I'm pulling teeth here. You want help, but yet I'm the one working harder. Sorry, but you want to learn photography, gang? All of you, do the work. Do the work. Do the work. There's no shortcuts. Do the work. Just that simple, okay? All right, Cooley's shooting events for Veterans Day, for city and things like that. So, all right, Cooley, I'm going to pull more teeth, man. You're shooting events for Veterans Day. Who's hiring you? Who's the client? Who's paying you to shoot those events? Or are you just going and shooting the pictures and hoping that somebody's going to say, hey, I want to buy that? What are we doing? Okay. Frosty the Bear Man, Joe, please, next time, go into marketing and what services we should be using, etc. Like how to market correctly. That's something I'm not good at. So I've actually told you how to market correctly tonight, Frosty. Not kidding. What I told you tonight, if you accept that and you truly understand that and you keep that as the thought process behind everything you do with marketing, you'll be a marketing genius in no time. I swear to God. Marketing is not rocket science. It's not. And Frosty, I am going to be doing some. I will not be doing full-length marketing last frames. You know why? Nobody watches them. Everybody says, oh, we do marketing, and nobody watches them. If I even this one tonight, we'll probably get less than 1,000 people that'll watch this in the course of like the next 3 weeks, okay? Nobody watches the marketing crap. I will be doing a course in 2023. There's 3 courses. There's a personal branding course, there's a social media course, and there's a website for photographers course. And I'll tell you straight out, Frosty, there's no shortcuts. All of them are more about the conceptual thought process behind marketing. There are tools that you can use to make the steps easier and make them take less time. But everybody wants those tools first. Like, tell me the tools so I can use the tools. But they still don't know what to put into the tools because they still haven't gotten their head wrapped around how to make social media and how to make marketing in general work for them. You guys have heard me say this many, many times. My hand is up first. Professional photographers are idiots. Why? Because I've never met a professional photographer who bought a camera for the first time because they wanted to run a business. Never met that photographer, ever. They bought a camera, they tried it out, eventually they get hooked. After they get hooked, they become really passionate about it. Oh, this is cool. And then they have one of 2 thoughts. I've never heard a third version. Never. It's always one of 2 thoughts. Version 1. Wouldn't it be cool if I could make some money with this camera because then I could buy more gear? There's a little bit of logic there, but it's a bad idea. 2. Wouldn't it be cool? This is the dumber one, by the way. Number 2. Wouldn't it be cool if I could pay my bills with this thing? Now, why do I say that's idiots and dumb? Why do I use those words? Because I went through it myself. And you know what happens? The minute you make that decision, the rules change. It is no longer about you. Nobody gives a damn about what you like, what you want to photograph. They're paying for what they want. So once you go into business, it's about making other people happy. It's about providing value. Why do you come back and watch me from time to time? It's free, but it takes up your time. You watch because you feel that I provide you value. That's why you do it. It's not about me. Do you think I actually enjoyed everything I've told you tonight, by the way? I've spoken these words easily 100 times in the last 5 years. Easily. So do you think like, oh, I really enjoy speaking those words over and over and over? No, it's the same message because it works. It's the philosophy that I work by, and it's the philosophy that every single photographer who is successful that I've ever known works by. And that's why I share it, okay? So, Frosty, does correct marketing cost money? No. Everybody doesn't say you got to spend big, Frosty. Stay the hell off of YouTube, all right? Anybody that's an expert and an influencer is a moron, all right? You want to be dealing with people that are actually doing what you do or have had experience doing what you do. Otherwise, why are you asking? You're looking for shortcuts. That's why you're on YouTube. That's why you're asking me what are honestly lazy questions. And then you're spreading misinformation and bullshit. Facebook, for instance, is full of fake views, etc. No, it's not. Is there problems with Facebook? Yes. Are there people with fake profiles? Yes, but it's full of fake views. Come on, man. If you are putting out a good product, because the worst part is you're all worried about money, 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 money. I don't hear you saying to me, I have got the most amazing photography in the world, but nobody's seeing it. Come back and talk to me when you've got the most amazing photography in the world. Because the best part of it, Frosty, those marketing courses I told you about, they're going to cost $10 each. Just $10. $10 and I'll change your world. And I'll bet you'll balk at the $10. Why should I pay Edelman $10? I can get all this shit for free on the internet. So go ahead, right? And you're saying, yeah, I guess for me, he adds in here, I guess for me, marketing means using some tool to help me be seen by more people. The more people that see you, the more potential money you bring in. Bullshit. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. That, Frosty, is an incredibly lazy marketing mentality. Look, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be a jerk. In fact, go join my Facebook group and bring this conversation up, and I'll prove to you I'm not being a jerk about it. I will give you my time to prove it. I'm not going to teach you everything you want me to teach you for free. You're going to pay for that because you want to run a business. You want to make money, so I'm not going to do it for free, pal, right? It does cost money to make money, but you got to be smart enough to go to the right resources. Stop looking for shortcuts. I saw somebody say it should be a hashtag. You're damn straight. Do the work. Frosty, you got to do the work. And the work starts with your photography, because the thing of it is the same with Cooley. If you guys were creating images that were like, oh my freaking God, you wouldn't be having these conversations with me because people would be knocking your door down, wanting your stuff. But is that happening? Apparently not. So where do you really need to start this whole marketing conversation? You need to start it with your photography. And then you need to stop looking for shortcuts, right? You need to stop looking for shortcuts. You're not going to buy a tool. There is no tool that you need. You legit don't need a tool because you don't even have a system yet. What's a system? A workflow, a goal. Like photographers push stuff out on social media like something's going to happen. In other words, you don't have a plan. For a lot of you, I can say to you, why do you put your pictures on social media? Those of you that are trying to make money, those of you that are doing it for fun, good for you. You're the smart ones. You really are. Seriously, keep it up. Those of you that are trying to make money, most of you don't have a plan. You just throw your stuff up on social media and you think something's going to happen. You think like the world's going to show up at your doorstep. It doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way. Not unless you are putting something online that is so much different than has ever been seen before, which honestly, that's what I'd rather see you do, right? You guys hear me talk about that kind of stuff all the time. Do different, be different. But doing different and being different, that means, number one, if everybody's over here using flash outdoors to overpower the sun, don't be over there, be over here. Do like Joe does, right? Trends here, I'm here. I'm not the best. I've never been the best. I never will be the best, but I'm me. So all I have to do then is I have to find the people that like what I do. I don't have to compete against all that bullshit. Why make the job harder? That's what you guys are doing. You want a tool to do what everybody else does. You don't need a tool to do what everybody else does. Well, you need a tool to do what everybody else does, but why would you want to do what everybody else does, right? Do you. That's the key. I promise you guys, especially Frosty the Beer Man, Cooley, I love you guys too, and thank you for not being really pissed off at me, but seriously, go back and listen to the part tonight on the replay. Go back and listen to where I talk about the part about being social and all that. I swear to you, I promise you. In fact, I have videos here on YouTube. I'll add the links into the description later tonight where I break that down and I talk about that. So none of it is going to tell you how to post on social media. No. Before you, from a business standpoint, post on social media, you have to be able to ask yourself, why am I posting on social media? What do I want to happen? Is what I'm doing going to make that happen? You don't post first and then hope something happens. You got to have a plan. That's how you run a business. That's why before you start a business, you actually create a business model. And you factor in what are all your expenses going to be. That way, you don't start into business and 6 months later realize, oh, I probably should have had liability insurance because now I'm being sued. Right? You don't do that. That's why you have a plan. Any smart business does. So even if it's a side hustle, you make it a business. In fact, there are tax benefits to making it a business. So you don't just go out and start raking money in, right? You put some planning in, you put some effort in. You gotta, there we go, do the work. Hashtag, do the work. You do the work, you'll have the success that you want. Stop wasting your time and your money on YouTube looking for a shortcut, right? Because you're not going to happen. Dan. Whoops, here it is. I clicked the wrong one. There we go. Dan. I imagine there are mediocre photographers that have successful businesses. Is marketing a mechanism to manipulate people into hiring mediocre photographers? No. Look, you could be a crappy photographer. And this is my last question, guys, because I'm way over time. Dan, you could be, here's why I don't like your question. And not that it's like inappropriate, but you could be a crappy photographer, like crappy. Every one of us watching right now could look at your pictures and say, oh my God, they're the worst pictures in the world. But with some good marketing, you could make some money, right? Absolutely, that's possible. But is that the standard? No. The good part is it's not. Because here's the problem. That crappy photographer who's doing really good marketing and making some money, that's the word, that's the key phrase right there, some money. They're not going to be able to sustain it. They're not going to be able to grow it and build it, right? Look, on social media, on the internet, it's really easy to basically create a false front and draw people in, get some cash, and you deliver the products, but they're not good. And that's where you don't get any of the positive feedback. You don't get any of the positive shares. You don't get people talking about you online. You don't get any of the organic push, right? It's just none of that happens. So, at the end of the day, there's really not. There are good photographers, not great, good photographers that are running a good business. That's who I am, right? Good photographer who, for my adult life, has run a business. Because I understood from the beginning that I didn't have to have thousands of people. I didn't have to have millions of people. I didn't even have to have hundreds of people. I just needed to find the people dumb enough to pay me and appreciate what I do. And then I had to work very hard for those people to make them happy. And I did. So they saw value in what I do. And that's how you make money as a photographer. You guys, a lot of you have heard me say this before. You do what you do to the best of your ability, which means you push, you strive to improve, to be better, to learn. You do what you do to the best of your ability, and then you find the people dumb enough to pay for it. That's how it works. That's how it has worked all the way back to Rembrandt, Renoir, all those old grandmaster artists. They didn't make a lot of money in their lifetimes, but what did they do? They found people dumb enough to put a roof over their heads, to give them a place to work, to pay for their supplies, to feed them, to put clothes on their back in exchange for their artwork. Think about that. Would you give somebody a room in your garage? And you don't know the person. You don't know that person's going to go on in history to be like the most famous artist ever. But you like their art. Would you give up your garage, let them live in your garage, and would you feed them, buy them food, right? All this. Would you do that? That's crazy. But that's what they did. They only needed one person to do it. They didn't need tons of people to love their art and appreciate their art. They needed one person. That's it, right? So that's what you do as a photographer. So anyway, gang, I got to roll. Philip, what's your rush? You're in Australia, man. It's early. I'm kidding. Hey, listen, seriously. Obviously, I am passionate about marketing. And I am passionate about making all of you understand. You can't be lazy. You do have to do the work. But it doesn't have to be nearly as hard and nearly as challenging as a lot of these online gurus and experts make it. And you do not have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. You do need a refresher course on how to be social. In the case of most people, that's it. Stop looking at it like the internet, like it's a computer. Social media is just about being social with people. That's it. That's all it is. Okay? All right, gang. Again, thank you. Have a good week. Those of you in my Tog Knowledge group, I'll see you tomorrow night. And in the meantime, gang, you know the drill. We're gonna add to it. All right? Go pick up your camera and shoot something. Because your best shot, it's your next shot. If you do the work. Later, gang. Take care.